Wake up, Rip City. The Blazers have won their first game since the All-Star break. It seems like they've only played one game because I don't even want to talk about the other one. But they beat the Suns 92-77 on the road. This is the Wake Up Rip City podcast. We'll talk about that win today, of course, on the show. But listen, I've got some more important, some more deep-seated things to get to today. I think one will answer the question, why was Deni Avdija playing last night? Played for 1 minute and then was immediately pulled from the game after his back seemed to lock up. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about just the overall. I just have some questions, and Gliss, as you're our medical expert on the show, I'll lean on you for help. But what is going on with the Blazers training staff, and what's going on with the decision to let Deni play? Then we'll just talk about kind of the overall feelings as the Blazers are playing with full health now, and pretty close to full health now, and how we're feeling about this roster. But a lot of it seems like a lot more questions have been created than answers as they go into this post All-Star break stretch of games when there was a lot of hope and a lot of excitement for this roster. So that will be what we'll cover today on the show. Most importantly, what was the decision, man? I don't know. I texted you guys last night. I was like, what is going on? What is happening? So that's what we got for today, Gliss. But before we get into the questions, let's get into some positives. We always like to wake up on the right side of the bed here at Wake Up Rip City. There is so much negativity on the internet, just in the world in general. So why not start the show with some positives? Because we love to watch basketball and we love to have fun watching basketball. So Gliss, what's your positive for the Blazers win last night against the Phoenix Suns?
I'm going to go with Donovan Clingan. I've just been so impressed with him the last month or so. It feels like he's just kind of taken his game to a new level. And in terms of the consistency, I mean, we know he's going to get double-digit rebounds, somewhere between 12 and 20 rebounds every night. But just his ability to shoot that three-point shot, I think he was, again, 3 for 6 last night. That went from being, like, early in the season, kind of like a nice, you're like, oh, he's open, like, yeah, sure, take the shot. But now it's like he's shooting it with so much confidence that I think it's going to start creating a problem for opposing defenses. So, and then just obviously he gets a lot of points off of offensive rebounds. He's one of the best in the league at that. But yeah, that's been something that's kind of been brewing for me for a while, not just last night, but I've been super, super impressed. It feels like for year two for a big guy, it seems like he's kind of like quietly almost taken this step towards being one of the elite big men in the NBA right now. And that's very exciting and very promising, especially given kind of how this roster is constructed outside of him. To have a guy like that who's a true anchor in the middle that can create problems on the offensive glass, or really on both sides, rebounding wise, and now having the ability to step out and make defenses respect his shooting ability. It's just been a lot of fun to watch him play, and just how much he's grown over this season so far.
Yeah, Donovan had 23 points, 13 rebounds, 4 blocks last night. Over his last 10 games, Gliss, which is a solid sample size, 14.6 points per game, 12.5 rebounds per game, 2.8 assists per game. Just solid, great numbers from a second-year center. He's been consistent this season. Mm-hmm. He, has just continued to grow and grow. You talk about that three-point shot. There were moments, I think, early in the season where fans were questioning whether or not it was going to be a skill, and now it's not a question. No one's questioning it anymore. It's obvious that this is a skill. He had a great sequence last night where he hit a three on one side, on one end, and then came down again and then had a dunk. And it was like, man, this guy, like get you a center who can do both kind of a thing, right? Like he's attacking the paint and then he's coming outside. He seems to understand also the timing of his shots. Like he's going to be left alone. That's just how it is. But I think he has a good understanding of when it's time for him to take one
Yeah.
and put pressure on the defense, and when it's time for him to roll and put pressure on the defense in another way with his offensive rebounding ability and his ability down low, which is so impressive. And I think the conversation is starting to move, Gliss. It's not, is this guy a serviceable NBA center anymore? That question is done. That question is answered. It's obviously yes. It's now becoming, is this guy going to be a star or not? And he has the blueprint to do those things. And, you've seen, so many centers. I think you can attribute like his kind of defensive ability and his offensive rebounding and things like that. You look at centers like Rudy Gobert, you look at centers like Brook Lopez and things like that, who have Brook Lopez obviously has that ability to stretch the floor, and he's just doing all these different things that create extra possessions for the Blazers, that open the lane for the Blazers when he's standing out by the 3-point line. And so it's awesome. And I like I said, I think the question is now becoming, is he going to take another leap? This is his second season. It's his second season. And so what else is coming? And for him to make this big of a leap in his second year, it wasn't on my like expectation list or anything like that.
No.
And it's been huge for the Blazers and where they're at right now in the season. So fantastic.
And I want to touch on too, just what you were saying about his 3-point shot. I think that's probably the most important part. Is there seems to be a certain level of patience that he has. Like you said, the timing of his shots, knowing when to shoot it and when to kind of pull back and let the offense develop a little bit more. But yeah, like I said, I mean, the way he's played the last month, I mean, he's playing, especially in today's NBA, the game has changed so much with, a lot of guys kind of play interchangeable positions. They have skill sets where they can play a lot of different positions. So there's not a lot of like true kind of traditional big men, but he kind of has all those attributes of a traditional big man, but also has, developed some of those areas that are important for a modern big man, specifically, his ability to step out and shoot that 3-point shot. He's just been super, like you said, it wasn't something that was even, probably top 5 coming into the season of things like that I was really going to be looking for. I think there was probably other things that I had higher expectations for at the beginning of the season. So it's been a really, really nice surprise to see him develop the way he has, because I think he's made a huge leap, and it's been so consistent the last month or two, where it's like you expect him to create problems in a lot of different ways. And I think when you bring up the conversation, like, could this guy be a star? I don't think we're getting too ahead of ourselves, just because of the fact, all the reasons we just talked about. He has the ability to affect the game in a lot of different ways. And I think that's what kind of separates, the typical NBA player from a guy that is kind of in that all-star conversation. When you have the ability to do a lot of different things that can disrupt opposing defenses, and you talk about rebounding and all that stuff, I think he's showing that he's moving in that direction to being someone who, if he can play this way consistently, then yeah, he'll probably have some all-star conversations, down the line, especially for only being in his second year right now.
And there are some obvious limitations at the center position that we've seen with other centers struggle with. Like, you've seen Rudy Gobert and stuff like that throughout moments in his career, not able to play in fourth quarters of big games, playoff games, because of kind of drop coverage and pick and rolls, where guards are just able to attack them in the pick and roll. And we've seen Clingan struggle with that at times this season, where guards are just picking him apart in the pick and roll, and unfortunately he has to sit. Now, but with that said, I do think he balances a lot of those issues out with kind of the positives of his game. I mean, the value of an extra possession in the NBA is is huge. I mean, you can't talk more about it. An extra possession is everything. If you have more possessions than your opponent, I mean, it's just right. Just thinking about it from a sensical point, it's like you have a better chance to win, and he creates those. He leads the league in offensive rebounds. I think he still leads the league in offensive rebounds, and so that kind of value starts to add on, right? And then the ability to stretch the floor. If you have a big who's I don't know what he's shooting from three right now. I'm sure it's still kind of probably in that low 30s area, but if he gets it, up to 35 or something like that, and I wonder if you look at his last maybe 20 games, what he's looking at from three, he becomes so much more value. So I've become a little less worried about that stuff on the other side of the ball. And of course, we have seen him got picked apart by centers at times this season, but that stuff starts to, he's still a second year guy. You still got to give him a little bit of slack, and I think you got to give him a lot of credit for these games like this. I mean, 23, 13, and 4 is not is awesome, and in a game where the Blazers needed it too. So he was fantastic. He was fantastic. I got to shout out the defense too, Gliss. Blazers only give up 77 points in today's NBA. Of course, the Suns were missing, their best scorers, so you have to think about it that way. But 77 points is pretty crazy defensively. So a good effort, especially. I'm not going to say the number from the Denver game because it just makes me feel pain inside. But they gave up more than that, Gliss, in the Denver game, quite a bit more.
Did they?
Yeah. So to bounce back like that and have a solid defensive performance, I think is a huge positive from me. Jeremy Grant had a good game, 23 points. Plus 29 in his plus minus. And then Toumani Camara was just awesome last night. He finishes with 12 points, 10 rebounds. But I was kind of jumping off the couch at one sequence in particular when I think he blocked a shot and then got the ball and ran down and dunked it, and it's just like, oh man, this guy like just plays like that are just so electric and so effective and building up the team, and just like it's momentum. It's just momentum, and he just has so many crazy momentum plays. And he was on it yesterday. A few offensive fouls, a couple offensive fouls he was drawing, and I've just loved watching Toumani play, especially when his impact is even greater when there are true point guards on the court, like we've seen, and when shots are being created for him. And they have the headband stats. Since he's put on the headband, he's shooting like 55% from three or something like that, which is just insane. And obviously, he's not going to keep that up. But man, he's really turning into such a reliable shooter. And when he's open, it's a good look, especially off the catch and shoot. So definitely a big shout out to him. Okay, Gliss. I'm looking out my window right now. It's dreary. It's dark. It's gray. It's raining. And I do have some negative moments from this game that I want to touch on. Let's let you start, Gliss. How are you waking up on the wrong side of the bed on this dark and dreary Portland day?
Well, I mean, I think coming off of the previous game that we won't talk that much about, I think the defense carried them last night. And to your point from the game previous, I did hear, I think they said it was the biggest swing between two games in Blazers history. It was like 80 points or something like that to give up almost 160 points and then, below 80 points, especially, which is very impressive. To give up 77 points in today's NBA, I think every single team in the NBA averages over 100 points. So that's impressive for their defense. Their offense was just, I'm trying not to be too negative about this because I do feel like they're in kind of a tough position where it's almost like they're in preseason, like in terms of the coaching staff, because there's been so many guys missing and so many guys that have recently come back. And then, Deni's been a question mark. He's been in, he's been out, he's been in, he's been out. And then, Shaedon goes out right when we get Scoot Henderson back for the first time this season. So I got to think part of it is just a rhythm thing of not like guys not really having defined roles in the offense and in the rotation. But the offense just has not looked great at times. And I think that probably the biggest thing with that is something we've been talking about all year is with turnovers. I mean, if they want to have a chance to kind of move up in this playoff race, they gotta take care of the ball. I mean, there's no other way to put it. The free throws and the turnovers have been killing them all year, regardless of who's healthy and who's not. And to me, that's something that at least the turnovers, like you got to get that together because you just can't in the NBA. There's too many good teams. You can't be giving the ball away, giving teams extra opportunities. Um, it's a killer, and it's been so frustrating at times. And even in some of the wins, it's like we still see that problem creep in. So that's probably kind of the biggest downer for me is just kind of this continuing storyline of not taking care of the ball. And, more times than not, that's going to come back to bite you. Their defense played great last night and they were able to get the win on the road, and that's great. But I still think that's a glaring problem, moving forward.
Yeah, I think Drew Holiday and Scoot Henderson both had a lot of turnovers last night. And it's so difficult to watch a team that is turning the ball over because you know that they're better than this and they're shooting themselves in the foot, and it's like that's like the hardest kind of when you're rooting for a team to kind of get over, because it's like, oh, the other team isn't necessarily beating us. Now, of course, turnovers are going to be forced from good defense. I think the Nuggets in particular were playing great
Sure.
defense on the Blazers, and that's going to happen. But I just there's a few times every game where I'm just like, oh, that was a careless pass. Like, why is that? Why are there so many careless passes? It doesn't make any sense. It's like there's plays where the guys are just like, there's no ball security. It's like they're not taking it seriously, and it's just the laziest passes ever. And there's a lot of guards in the NBA that are just feeding off of that. And in fact, a lot of the guards on this Blazers team feed off of a lazy pass and going into the passing lane and grabbing a steal. And so to see the kind of mental, like, it's just not there all the time. It's not there. And if you're going into a play-in game where you're a 9 versus a 10, and I don't care if you're at home or not, and you're playing a veteran team who's not going to turn the ball over, say the Clippers, you're going to lose. They're not going to win.
Yeah.
They are not going to win if they have 20 turnovers in a play-in game. It's not going to happen. And the other factor is they need to show, the Blazers need to show that they can play games with low turnovers for a stretch. They need to play 10 games in a row and average, less than 15 turnovers, or closer to 10 turnovers a game or something like that, and show that they're capable of it, because you can't just turn it on once the play-in starts and say, okay, we're not going to turn over the ball anymore. It just doesn't work like that, and the Blazers aren't good enough to do that. So, yeah, I agree, Gliss. It's frustrating. I don't. There was one play at the end of the game too where I think it was Scoot dribbling up the ball, and he just threw a lazy pass to Drew Holiday, and it was just stolen. And I was just like, there's another one. It's just like, that can't happen, and there's no reason for it, especially from someone like Scoot, who I think he's really impacted the offense, and you can tell whenever he's out there that the offense is really starting to move and really starting, like, he's going, like his wheels are going when he's out there. And I am totally fine if he, if he's trying to move the offense and he's taking some risks and he turns the ball over that way. Fine. That's going to happen. Now, should it happen 6 times a game? No, but it's going to happen. But it's a lazy pass, when you're setting up the offense. It's like, that can't happen ever. ever. It should not happen. It should not happen. And so those kind of turnovers are just absolutely killer.
Yeah, it's kind of like it's kind of, you know what it reminds me of? It's like when you're watching a football game and one of the teams has like 20 penalties, and then the next play the guy is like blatantly holding, and it's like, what the hell are we doing here? It's like,
Yep.
we all knew it was going to happen, and it still happens. But yeah, it's that mental, like you said. It's one thing. Scoot is the kind of player where there is some risk versus reward. So like, if it's within the offense, or within kind of like his mindset of trying to make something happen, that's fine. But you're right. There's a lot of times, and it's Drew and Scoot, I think, are two guys that
Yep.
I notice it the most with, where it's almost like a cross court one-handed pass through three defenders, and it's like, well, this is the NBA. Like, I mean, someone's gonna get to the ball, so let's let's dial it back a little bit and try to be not so careless. That's the thing that's frustrating. It like you said, it's something that they're better players than that, and it seems like a mental lapse, and that's why it's frustrating to watch.
Agreed. Yeah. Hopefully they clean it up. I'd love to see a stretch where they're not just for me selfishly. I would love to watch this team play and, get closer to that 10 turnovers a game, or in that range at least. Or imagine if they just cut 5 turnovers out a game. How much better would this team look? I mean, just selfishly, I just want to watch that team play and see how they play. And even if the offense is still a little clunky, like we knew the offense wasn't going to be a strong point, if it was still a little clunky, that's fine. Just let's see what happens when you're not giving up live ball turnovers to the opposing offense. So, okay, Gliss, one final thing to talk about, and I'm pretty upset about this. It doesn't make any sense to me. Why does Deni Avdija play yesterday? And this is the language I'm hearing pregame. Deni's going to test out his back to see if he can play tonight. What the hell is that? No, he's not going to test out his back to see if he can play tonight. He's going to sit. This makes no sense from this team. I have no understanding of what is going on with this training staff. And I'm not going to pretend to be a doctor or anything. That's your job, Gliss. I'm not going to pretend to know what's going on with him. But this guy has not looked normal in weeks now. It has not looked normal at all. And the Blazers have been so careful all season long with injuries. Scoot didn't come back until he was fully good to go from his hamstring. He was only supposed to miss a month. He only just started playing, and that was before the season started, right?
Yeah, it's like 50 games or something into the season before he even saw the court.
They were so careful, and I'm so appreciative of that now, because we've seen players like Jalen Green come back from hamstring injuries too fast, and then they have to miss more time. Shaden, they've been super careful with all season with all this calf stuff. Drew Holiday, they were super careful with all of his calf stuff, and I understand that the calf is a little bit different, but it's your back, man. Like, it's your back. You can't play basketball without a back. and it's something that's so easy to get hurt. And Deni plays 1 minute and he's out right away. When he just was posting up. All he did was post. He didn't even jump. And immediately his back locks up. And it's like, okay, well, great, And I get that he's going after the 65 games. He doesn't want to miss too much so he can get on All-NBA. And I get there's financial incentives attached to that because you're looking at Supermax deals and things like that. But damn, why is the Blazers staff even letting it be up to Deni? They should say, no, you're sitting. We're probably going to see him sit for an extended time now, I would assume, after this. It just makes no sense that they've been so careful all season long with all these players, and now it's like, oh, he's going to test out his back before the game. No, he's not. Why is he doing that? It makes no sense. I do not understand this test out. It's like, yeah, he tested it out, and now he hurt it again, and it locked up. Like, how long are we going to have to wait for Deni to return to some sort of normalcy now? I mean, even in the All-Star game, like, I didn't say this when we did our All-Star recap, but he just didn't seem right. Like, he was running through the motions, but he wasn't playing the regular,
Yeah.
like, kind of Deni basketball that we've seen. And it's been a while. And I know he came back from the injury and looked great for a stretch, but then it happened again. So it's like something's wrong, man. And I just do not get why they will not rest him. Stop testing it out. That's not an option anymore. Let him heal. Let him heal. The Blazers will try to survive without him, and let's just move forward. I don't know, Gliss. You're our doctor, so tell me if I'm right.
Yeah, no, I'm with you all the way on this. I don't obviously we all want to see him out there, but it's not doing anybody any good to have him be in the lineup and then out of the lineup and then in the. I mean, and the back is similar to something like a hamstring or like an oblique or something like that, where it's like it's one of those areas, like you said, it's pretty important. Like that's when you think about an athlete, all that's kind of like the main area that you're constantly using is that midsection, that core area. And, I think we knew that this was a concern, that it could linger because injuries like this can linger. But it's been so back and forth. I'm with you. I'm like, okay, let's just sit him for an extended period of time until they feel like and I guess that's the hard part. It's like, will he be fully healthy at any point this season? Like, what's the overall benefit? I probably not. Like, I guess he's probably not going to be 100%. But at this point, if you have a chance to get into that play-in game or any of the playoff spots, I'd rather see him healthy, towards the end of the season going into that, than to have him go in and out of the lineup every couple games for the next 20 games or whatever. So yeah, I'm on board with let's just let them sit for a while. They have a lot of their guys healthy right now. For the most part, I mean, this is the most healthy they've been. It sucks to have your all-star be in this position, and obviously Shaden's been out a while now, and it sounds like he's going to be out for a little while longer. They're being cautious with him, so I would hope at this point, just because it's gone back and forth so much, that they're just going to make the decision to kind of shut him down for a while.
I swear, man, if I see Deni's going to test out his back pregame again, I don't know what I'm going to do, because I just can't believe that. It's mind blowing to me. It's just, and I understand if there's anyone in the Blazers organization watching our show, which I hope you are, that it's probably a mixture of the staff and Deni, and I'm sure Deni's fighting because he really wants to play, and you just know Deni. You just know him, that he wants to play, so he's probably really putting pressure on them. And so I understand it's difficult, but testing, I can't get over it, Gliss. It's just playing over and over in my mind. I'm just like, why? That's that. When I saw that sentence, yeah. I was like, that's not an option to me. There's either he's healed and he's good to go, or he's not. You don't test out your back. Like that just doesn't make any sense to me. So, all right, Gliss, I think that's it for today on this dark and dreary Portland day, man. I woke up this morning and I was like, is it still nighttime? It was so good, so gray out. But hey, we're coming off a Blazers win, so at least we can be happy about that. Of course, they are 28-30. They've slid into that 9th spot. They've been kind of in a back and forth between that 9th and 10th with the Clippers. So we'll see how things go. 2 games under 500. And road trip coming up, right, Gliss? So like things are not getting super easy looking ahead. But hey, Blazers basketball, we're back from All-Star break. Most of the team is back healthy except the two most important playmakers and scorers. But we live on, we live with it, and it's exciting to see. It's exciting to see the team back. Anything to add, Gliss, before we log off?
No, like you said, a tough road trip coming up, but they still do. I think they're still in a great position right now. I believe they were talking about before that one game that we won't ever talk about again earlier this week. They were saying that they have the easiest schedule remaining in the NBA. As long as they aren't, giving up 20 turnovers a night, I think they still have a good shot to move up and gain some ground in this playoff picture. So,
yeah, well, you and me both hope that, Gliss. We both hope that. This has been the Wake Up RipCity podcast. Please subscribe to us on YouTube. Gliss has been working on our Instagram too, so we've really been focused on growing YouTube, but we wanted to make sure at least we had one social media channel for people to follow and check out our clips. So follow us on Instagram if you don't too. We're working on it. We're working on growing that up, but of course YouTube is our main focus, and we love hearing from people on YouTube. So please throw us a comment, throw us a like, please subscribe. And yeah, we're really enjoying how everything is going, and we're excited to kind of be with you down this last stretch of Blazers basketball. All right, this has been Wake Up RipCity. We'll see you next time.